Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Early Edge. It's BPE Friday, and we've got a great cast for you today. I see Joe Neuenfeld. It's Adam, Joshua Martin. Zoom in here. Taj Omari L. You're probably wondering how we did yesterday. Let's take a look at the recap screen. Well, we had won 8 of our last 9. The SportsLine picks don't exactly come through. We lose a lot of those, but shout out to Sniper for that first 5 play. I hit 1 out of 2. Proppy goes 1 out of 2 as well. 4 and 6 overall, but again, we've won 8 of our last 9, so we can afford a couple units lost here. Ladies and gentlemen, it's time to move forward. It's time to look at present day for BPE Friday. Let's go. We've got shadow boxing. We've got suit coats, Mackenzie, buckets. It might be or may not be Freya's birthday, but first things first, everyone in the chat is waiting for one. Chip me up.
Good morning, Sia. Good morning, Buckets. Good morning, kids. Good morning, Daddy. Good morning, Ben. Good morning, Early Edge fam. And get that button on right tight, because I got to talk to you about culture. I got to talk to you about a tone setter, because sometimes in the locker room, you need someone to be able to get everybody on the same page. And when I showed up for work today, you know who was the first one in the building and the last one to leave? That's right, my man, Buckets. Buckets was out here. He said, "No, Chip, not today. Your games, not today. It's business time. It's business time. It's winning time. I'm ready to take notes. I'm ready to put winners into this phone. Let's go."
It is winning time indeed. Can somebody explain to me, Buckets, I go to you first, what's up with the suit coat theme here that I missed out on?
So, Sia, there's a sense of maturity and responsibility that comes with owning a suit like this that clearly you are not willing to be a part of here. On a more serious note, I am 31 years old and don't own a suit. I am going to the Galazzo studio next week, where I will be in studio for Champions League all day long. And they told me, "Buckets, bring your best suit." And I said, "Yeah, I can do that. I can bring my best suit." And I ran to Goodwill and I snagged this guy. So we're feeling good today, baby.
Your response was, "My best suit is a t-shirt." Mackenzie, you're looking good in that sport coat in green. Are we celebrating the Irish or something? What's going on there?
Yeah, we're celebrating the Masters. I just saw my good friend Buckets and my good friend Chip with jackets on, and then I got FOMO. So there's something about like the no makeup workout shirt under the blazer that felt right.
It works.
It's for Friday.
It totally somehow works, Mackenzie. It's very impressive. Brasco, you and me are on the outside looking in. How you feeling today?
You know, I tried on a blazer real quick. I wanted to join the band, but it's fight day. See, I need the arms to be loose. I need to be able to throw hands, and the suit was too restrictive. So I went suit free. Ken's, by the way, looking like she just eagled the 18th to win the Masters. I love the looks, guys.
Yeah, it's pretty great. I will tell you that, you know, in my lawyer days, I hated wearing suits. I didn't mind wearing the tie and the shirt and the slacks or whatever. That coat is so restrictive. I would never have my coat on. People would be like, "Did you lose your suit jacket?" And unless I was actually in court, I was never wearing a suit coat. I don't know why I told that
I'm
story.
taking it to the studio. I need more room to express myself on a Friday.
See, that's a you problem. I think because of what you've got under the suit. Those of us who might not have what Sia has under the suit, I kind of like the way it frames me. All right.
Okay.
It kind of boxes me in.
Okay, I can see that. That's totally fair. Maybe I was subtly showing off there. Who knows? Let's show off some picks. Buckets, you're going to kick us off.
Sia goes, "Man, the suit gets in the way of when I'm benching 315 at the gym. It's just, it's so frustrating." That's fine, Sia. Don't worry. I've got us all covered with some footy plays. International break is over. Thank you, everybody. I know it is so frustrating trying to my camera just dropped a little bit. Now,
Did you punch it again?
No, I hit the table, but it's all doesn't matter. Break's over. Footy is back. Let's bet on some actual leagues and some actual big names and cash some actual tickets here. We are starting, of course, with the German Bundesliga, where we have Bayer Leverkusen taking on Eintracht Frankfurt. And I'm telling you all right now, I don't care if I look like an idiot. This line is wrong. The books have this game backwards. Leverkusen should not be the favorite. They look terrible this season. They just got rid of their manager. They brought in a new guy who's going to have trouble working with a squad and working with this form. And Eintracht Frankfurt is doing the Frankfurt thing where they create a striker out of nothing. They look like the best team in Germany right now, and you can get them double chance. Win or draw at playable odds -130. That is stupid. that makes no sense. I will die on this hill. I like double chance. I like draw no bet. I like money line for a sprinkle, but the line is incorrect here. I love Frankfurt to at least get a point out of this matchup. For the second match, Sevilla taking on Elche. We welcome back La Liga as well. Thank goodness. We're going with both teams to score because it's plus 110 and because Elche is a newly promoted side that doesn't play like a newly promoted side. They are coming in and they're not sitting back and playing scared. They're coming out and they're going full Danny Brasco against everyone. Fist up, boom, boom, 1-2, boom. And we love to see teams play like that. Sevilla is good enough to score 2 goals here probably, but both teams to score against 2 bad defenses shouldn't be plus odds. Third and final play, we're going to the Polish Ekstraklasa, where we have Lech Poznan taking on Zagłębie Lubin here. See, an easy one to pronounce. Both teams to score and over 2.5 goals. Okay, a little same game parlay action to get it going here. We have 2 teams that have tremendous attacking power and absolutely abysmal defensive power. Lech Poznan has played 5 games this season. They've scored 10. They've conceded 10. Zagłębie, 6 games played, scored 12, conceded 10. No defense in this one. This game might have 4 or 5 goals. Sia, 1, 2, 3 check marks on the Monday recap screen.
Woo! 1, 2, 3 check marks on the recap screen. We got to check in before we get to our next set of picks. And Chip, we're going to you next on college football, but we've got to check in on our group ride for week 2. Ben, if you don't mind, could you come on and tell us the 4? I know you've already put the poll up for the viewers and for the chat, but I'm looking at it. Our week 2 group ride, can you maybe rattle it off for the podcast listeners?
Yeah, absolutely. So we have a mix between college football, NFL for this one. We got Seahawks +3, Georgia -3.5, Eagles, Chiefs over 46.5, and the Miami Hurricanes laying a lot -17.5. So no unders this week. Very proud that we don't have to bet any unders. But we got a good slate. Yeah, last week was definitely brutal. So I think we got a good slate this week.
Brasco, go ahead.
Yeah, unders actually went 12-4 last week, so expect some regression there. Despite all the advanced field positions, still totals went under. But the ones that did, there was a lot of variance too, and I do like that over in the Eagles-Chiefs game. I think there's bound to be offense there. The Chiefs' defense is a little bit concerning. I think the Eagles are going to move the ball down the field, and I know the Chiefs are thin in terms of their wide receivers, but Mahomes is going to figure out a way to score. And the Eagles were giving up bombs to CeeDee Lamb. He just couldn't bring them down. So I definitely like that over. I'm riding with you guys there for sure.
All right. Right now, Georgia -3.5 is in the lead. It's interesting here. The Hurricanes are -17.5. I don't know if it was on the network show or if it was earlier this week on this show where somebody gave out, I think it was Tom Casale, the Canes -17. He said he loved that bet. And that brings me to you, Chip Patterson, because I know we've got 2 picks on here that implicate your 2 picks, Georgia and Miami. Go ahead, buddy.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's start with the dogs here because a lot has been made about Kirby Smart, 8 wins in a row against Tennessee. Kirby Smart, 8-1 against Tennessee. But let's look at the whole sample set, all right? I'm not going to go small sample size here. These are the points scored by Kirby Smart coach teams against Tennessee. 31, 38, 27, 41, 44, 43, 38, 41, 31. If you have seen it, many of Kirby Smart's biggest plays as a safety when he played for Georgia came against Tennessee. You've got that interception that's going to pop up a lot on the broadcast. And I think that this is a spot where what I have been calling Mike Bobo's cha-cha slide offense, because the only thing that Georgia has done through the passing game is slide to the left, slide to the right. And you know what we're going to see tonight? Crisscross! Crisscross! We are pushing it vertically down the field because they've been playing possum. And I think that this offense is going to absolutely take off. Tennessee down its 2 starting corners. This is where we get to see the real Georgia. This is where they look like a true SEC and national title contender. We are going team total over 27.5, which one more time. In the last 9 games against Tennessee, 27 is the lowest we've had. Everything else is 30 plus. So let's go. This is way too low. And then we're going to move on to the next one, Sia, because I think I saw something in the games that were picked because it looked like the way that I pitch stories to an editor, and not to go too inside baseball here, but you give a lot of story ideas. Editors like, I like that one. I like that one. I don't like that one. Don't tell any of my editors. And I'm sure it's only just us family here. I normally slip one bad idea in there. Okay. I think that they want to say no to something. Miami minus 17.5. I think that might be a bad idea. I don't know if 17.5 is crystal ball proof, because I saw that Miami team against Notre Dame go up on the first possession of the third quarter and sit on the daggum football. They just thought they were going to be able to win that football game. And USF has playing with too much confidence right now. But the talent differential, good gravy. You know that's going to play out here in the first 30 minutes. So what I am going to do is I'm just going to isolate the first half. Miami, first half, minus 9.5. We need the Canes leading by 10 as they go into the locker room at the Rock. So don't want to have to worry about my Mario Cristobal defending a big lead, especially at 17 or 17 and a hook. All we need is for the talent discrepancy to show up early. In reminder, second straight road game in a tough environment for USF.
Mackenzie, I'm going to do something a little unorthodox, because I saw when Chip was giving out that play on Georgia, which of course was a team total over 27.5, you were pretty excited. You were kind of fist pumping Tiger Woods style a little bit. Now you have 2 college football picks. If you don't mind, can you give out the one on Georgia now, and we'll wait for your next one later in the show?
Twist my arm, Sia. I will talk about the Georgia Bulldogs minus a 3.5. Even if you get the 4 right now, fine with me. I think this line should have been closer to where it opened up, around a touchdown, because as Chip mentioned, we eat this rivalry for breakfast. We have won the past 8 games by double digits. Let me read you some of the spreads just of recent here that we're looking at. Last year, 7.5. Year before, 9.5, 10.5. 2021 was a 19.5 point spread, and they covered all of these. Okay. That's what they do. They just beat Tennessee. My senior year was when we were both ranked number 1. Tennessee was actually number 1. We were AP poll number 1. They came to Athens, probably the best day of my life. They got humbled there. It's just a rivalry that we own. On top of that, as Chip was mentioning, the overreaction to Georgia the past 2 weeks against these FCS teams and not putting up 50, 60 burgers, Kirby won't show you anything. He has literally no problem not laying out the playbook for these not stupid games, but some easier games that you don't want to give all your tricks to, okay? So I'm not worried. We haven't really used our shiny new toys yet as the receivers, as Chip was saying. I think we're finally going to see that. And they're without their top 2 cornerbacks. We're forgetting that. So sure, they look good in the first 2 games. Sure, Georgia could have looked better, but that's not how Kirby Smart's mind works, okay? So I'm not worried about this. We're going with the 3.5 and the Georgia Bulldogs.
Terry Mercurio. Mackenzie says your only flaw is that you're a DAWG, a dog. Your response?
I mean, people have a problem with me being an Eagles fan too, but just 2 successful fan bases. So
yeah, it's jealousy. Actually, that's totally fair. Buckets, go ahead.
2 things, a little bit of Buckets lore here. I went to the University of Tennessee in Knoxville for college, and every time we played Georgia, it was just embarrassing. So I respect that from a rivalry standpoint. People would just drink before the game, knowing they couldn't party after because we'd be mourning the loss. And second thing, and probably more important thing, is you mentioned this earlier, Sia. Wanted to make sure the chat all knew. Speaking of dogs, it is Freya's 10th birthday today. My wonderful little puppy turned 10, and she is just the best thing on the planet. So bet on all of the dogs, DAWG or DOG today, and wanted to make sure the chat knew.
That is incredible. Happy birthday, Freya. Let's put that in the chat while you're hitting the like button. James Rainwater says, Ken's go Birds. No,
wait,
let's
I got a new toy. This is a DeAndre Swift signed helmet. But
DeAndre Swift. What are we doing? What are we doing?
It's signed by Maddox. Also, I mean, both tough, but you might as well have it than not have it, right?
Did you actually purchase that with American dollars? Like, what? Did you find that on the side of the road?
See, that's like in Step Brothers when he's like, look, if all you have is a samurai sword and you meet Randy Jackson, are you not going to get him to sign it?
Yeah. Fair enough. All right.
Sorry, I'm going to shut up after this. This football, when I went to the Eagles autism race, my goal was to get all the Georgia Bulldog Philadelphia Eagles to sign it. But then, like, Jason Kelsey's next to me and Nick Sirianni, and I'm not going to not have them sign my football. So now this is really an array of Eagles players signing a Georgia National Championship football.
I think I would have had Jason Kelsey sign it and not Nick Sirianni.
Yeah,
but
I know the Gene Chiswick
Nick
of NFL coaches.
It's just such a thumbs down on Nick Sirianni for me. We've talked a lot of college football. We have more college football to come. BetMGM players will receive a college football parlay boost. Just make a college football parlay and you'll get extra winnings if it hits. Pretty easy there. BetMGM players will also receive a pro football odds boost, pro football parlay boost, and a pro football SGP boost. To get the boosts, make a pro football wager, a pro football parlay, or a pro football SGP. And if your wager wins that was made with the token, you will receive extra winnings in unrestricted bonus dollars only at BetMGM. Speaking of, quote, pro football, let's take a look at the SportsLine picks because we got a lot of football picks. We got a prop show coming up at 1 o'clock. Now, we've laid out some of the previous picks here. Ben is laying that out, but the SportsLine picks are as follows. Dallas Cowboys -5.5, Jacksonville Jaguars +3.5, and the Seattle Seahawks +3. Those are from Bob Karnarski, Brady Cannon, and RJ White. And then we've got our previous picks on here as well. The from today is at the bottom, and then a lot of our prior picks and props are on this screen right here. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we got our home run picks to get to. Brasco, we got to get to your fight night picks, more college football, my golf pick. It's all coming up right after this message from our partners.
We need your sports news anywhere.
We've got breaking news to bring you.
Then get your sports anytime you want them. Big trade news overnight to discuss.
Because we know you need sports all the time.
A lot of movement in the rankings this week.
A legend adds to their legacy.
We're bringing you that breaking news right here on HQ.
CBS Sports HQ, anywhere, anytime, all the time.
We're back on the Early Edge, brought to you by BetMGM, the sportsbook born in Vegas. Andrew Woodside in the chat says, Cowboys are winning the Super Bowl. This is our year. I'm assuming that's definite sarcasm. You love to see it. Let's transition. We'll get back to football in a little bit. Let's transition to some UFC. Danny Brasco, hit us with some hitters.
All right, let's go see a UFC fight Noche and also Terrence Crawford versus Canelo Alvarez. Super fight in boxing. I'm going to talk about all of it right now. First, let's start in the octagon for UFC fight Noche, honoring some of the Mexican fighters. And unfortunately, I'm fading one of them. I'm taking his opponent, Jared Gordon, to go over 64.5 significant strikes. And this is a play that I'm looking to potentially ladder up when the alt props come out. In fact, they are out on some books, and I'm seeing some short numbers, even up to 100 plus is only plus 185. So it's making me feel like I've got a good angle on this one. Rafa Garcia, Jared Gordon's opponent, is a tough, hard-nosed wrestler, boxer-style fighter, but I think he's outmatched. I think he's going to try to mix in his punches to set up his takedowns and get stuffed and end up in the clinch. And if that happens, Jared Gordon has very good dirty boxing. He can clinch you up, hit you with those rabbit punches, those short little uppercuts, and he's very good with his pressure style, pouring on that volume. The over 2.5 rounds is super juiced. This fight is very favored to go the distance. So if we get a long time and this fight to go the whole way, I think Gordon can rack up the significant strikes. The style certainly plays out in favor of him, I think, if he denies that wrestling. And Garcia is a tough guy. I think in front of that the Mexican crowd that's going to be cheering him on, he won't just give up. But look at him. I mean, in his first 2 UFC fights, just reading you some of the stats, I mean, he let Nasrat Haqparast strike him 99 times. Chris Grutzmacher, guy that's not in the UFC anymore, 100 times. And even Vince Pichel, 41-year-old Vince Pichel, 79 significant strikes on him. So Gordon's a guy that's had 100 plus in 4 UFC fights, and he can really rack it up if this fight goes long. So I like him to be able to do so. Really, as much as we're betting on Gordon to perform well, we're betting on Rafa Garcia to have the toughness to get punched in the face 65 times. So we're hoping that Garcia can do that. That's my bet, and I like Gordon a good deal. What I'm going to do in my next bet is combine Jared Gordon on the money line with Alessandro Costa, and we get a 2-leg parlay at -128. And Costa's a guy that's a pretty dang solid flyweight. He looks dangerous in the UFC. He's very physical for the division, and he's 2-2 so far with the promotion, but his 2 losses are to Amir Albazi and Steve Erceg, both ranked flyweights. Now he's facing a guy on Alden Correa, making his UFC debut. He's 10-3. He looks halfway interesting, but he's got experience in the LFA, and in last year he took a loss to a guy in Alberto Trujillo, who I just don't rate nearly close to Alessandro Costa's level. The power with his overhand shots sets up that physical wrestling. He's got 2 ground and pound finishes. I think Correa is going to be outmatched on the ground if it hits the floor. So yeah, give me Costa to pair up with Jared Gordon, and I think that's a solid 2-legger right there. And finally, guys, bonus picks. Canelo Alvarez versus Terrence Crawford. What a fight we have. Here's how I'm going to look at this fight. Crawford is moving up 3 weight classes. He moved up to 154 to face Ismail Madrimov first and kind of test out his new ability to hang at these weight classes. And he was tested. Madrimov's a really good fighter. People, I think, say Madrimov exposed Crawford. Give Madrimov some credit. But Crawford had to play a tricky game, had to figure out the timing, the speed at a higher weight class, and he did it. He won that game. Now he faces Canelo, 14 pounds higher at 168 pounds. I just think it's too much to jump up 3 weight classes and try to beat one of the GOATs. So I'm going to take Canelo Alvarez by decision at plus 120. The sentiment in the SportsLine Discord and the Combat channel, I agree with, is ultimately we may never get plus 120 on Canelo Alvarez by decision. And as good as Terrence Bud Crawford is on the outside, I think you see him beefing up and trying to match that physicality when he's going to have to meet Canelo on the inside. I think he can make this fight close. I think Canelo is ultimately just going to have the edge because of that weight difference. But we know how sketchy boxing can get, guys. And anyone that's seen some of these super fights lately will probably be just shrugging their shoulders like, yep, that makes sense. I'm also taking draw at plus 1,400 because the business angle, the conspiracy theorist in me asks, what happens next for either of these guys? They're both entering kind of the twilight, I would say, the back end of their careers. And where do you go from here with a loss? I mean, a retirement, a potential setup for a comeback? Are the judges going to want to protect Canelo's legacy if it's a really close fight? What about giving Bud his legacy, making him the first person to jump up 3 weight classes and be the undisputed champ in 3 divisions? There's a lot on the line here, so I don't know what the promotion wants to do. We know how sketchy boxing can get. Give me the draw at plus 1,400. Expect this fight to go the distance. The over 10.5 is minus 500. So when the judges read the scorecards, we'll be waiting on bated breath, and I want a long shot ticket in my pocket. There's some bonus action for boxing this weekend too, guys.
Wow. And somebody was asking in the chat, when is that boxing match?
Saturday night.
Wow. So a lot of bonus stuff going on there. Buckets, there's a lot of soccer questions, but I want to give out my pick. And Mackenzie, I know we still have the home run props and another college football pick from you. I'm going to go with a round 2 3-ball matchup. Again, this is under 3-ball matchups over at DK. I'm going to go with Sahith Theegala minus 120 over Austin Eckroat. This one is this afternoon. I think it starts around 12:30. We have time because they're really just getting started over there in Napa Valley. But Theegala is a guy, if you've been following him this year, he's just been absolutely terrible. But we talked about it on the early wedge on Tuesday. Actually, Rick Gaiman specifically talked about it, how he had been shaking off an injury that he just, quite frankly, hadn't shook off until very recently. Apparently, he's been pretty vocal about it, and he seems to have turned the page a little bit. We saw that in round 1, but what I love about what he did in round 1, which he had a pretty good day outside of a bad putter, was that he's got really great experience here, like elite experience at this course, at the Pro Course, which used to be called the Fortinet. And we saw some of that experience play out, and so we saw some of that injury being shook off a little bit yesterday in round 1. So I do think it continues. The ball striking was really good for him. I like him over Austin Eckroat. Eckroat's a good golfer. He's been a little up and down, missing cuts just like Sahith Theegala, but he's had a couple of good tournaments as well. But I don't really like what he did yesterday. He actually lost on approach, which isn't very good. Gained a lot with the putter. I think Sahith Theegala over 4 rounds. I think each and every round he's actually going to outclass Austin Eckroat. So give me Sahith Theegala minus 120 over Austin Eckroat in a round 2 3-ball matchup. Buckets, are you serious? Am I?
No. Ben did that on purpose. I had been yawning the entire. It's not you. The timing to go to the 5 shot was bad. That was it.
Fine. Buckets, Giuseppe Maricino says, how's this for a frisky Friday bet? Leverkusen to score first, parlayed with Frankfurt double chance at plus 370.
I'm such a little baby when it comes to my plus odds plays. Don't clip that.
Baby.
People are going to make that weird. No, I don't hate it. Leverkusen does have that new manager bounce that people do always talk about, where they want to impress the new guy, especially when so many players disliked the old guy. It's such a volatile team, and Frankfurt is so good offensively. It's worth a sprinkle for sure, but it's just not the way I would approach it personally, Sia. 2
more questions real quick. Buckets, what are your thoughts on Frankfurt over 1.5 team total?
Love that. Absolutely love that. Both teams to score in this game is like minus 250 or something, and I think Frankfurt probably get their goal within the first half. I love the over there.
All right, and Ray Garcia says, Buckets, Leverkusen game over 2.5 and both teams to score.
Yep. My score prediction for this one was 3-1 originally for Frankfurt, so everything we've talked about fits within that realm as long as we get that Leverkusen goal first there for that first question.
All right, Mackenzie, let's go back to college football. You already gave out Georgia minus 3.5. Now talk to me about Washington State, North Texas.
Yeah, my plan was to put the marquee matchup fun game next to the Washington State, North Texas game, but now we're just going to have to isolate it here. But I still like this play a lot. Over 57.5 between 2 teams. Washington State games last year averaged 64 points. North Texas games averaged 60. So sue me to believe we're going to get north of 60 points here in this game. Now, North Texas, their secondary is so bad. They've played two pretty bad opponents, so they haven't exactly been tested yet. And same with Washington State. I mean, they can't play defense either. I mean, they literally allowed 64 points. So between the two of them, I do feel like this North Texas team is going to get a little bit of a wake-up call from this Washington State team, who I do think is alive outright to win this game, because, again, this is probably the best offense North Texas has played as of late. But even North Texas, they have an air raid system. You have Washington State. Both have new quarterbacks. Washington State still threw the ball out 42 times last game, so there could be some questions about not having a lot of returning production, but it seems like the game plan for both of these schools stays pretty much the same from what we saw from last season. So at least 60, I think we can get to.
Okay, let's transition from college football, Mackenzie, to your inside the line SportsLine model home run props. Ben, if you could pull those up for us. We've got Kerry Carpenter, Geno Suarez, and Cody Bellinger, plus 390 versus plus 472 to Kerry Carpenter. Geno Suarez, plus 205 versus plus 360. Cody Bellinger, plus 370 versus plus 575. Mackenzie, any commentary on any of these three?
It seems like Bellinger is statistically better against left-handed pitchers. 4 of his 7 home runs are against lefties. And he's only faced this pitcher twice and has 1-2 with a single. So just a good long shot value, I'd say.
Yeah, I mean, plus 370 versus plus 575. Again, shout out to Inside the Lines, and Joe's shouting out Jake Fettner as well for coming through with these home run props. Let's get back to some questions. Chip, there was some college football questions. Let's go to, what do you think about Memphis -4 and Houston -3.5?
I like Houston -3.5 a lot more. They are playing at home against Martin Luther Staub in Colorado. I am not a total believer in the Buffs, not just sort of figuring things out on the fly. For Memphis, here's the thing. It's a stay away, right? Because Memphis just totally put the work on 2 lesser teams. But Memphis is not like Texas Tech, where I feel like I know what they are as they're putting the work on 2 lesser teams. Memphis, I still got to figure something out. Troy, of course, might have some body blow coming off of being a problem for Clemson. But at the same time, if there were a problem for Clemson, is Troy okay? Like, is Troy not a team that you can walk into their house, which, by the way, this Memphis-Troy game is at Troy? Is Memphis good enough to get in and out of Troy? And Sia, do you know what the reason why I had to stay away? You could tell me Memphis wins by 2 touchdowns. You could tell me Troy wins outright. -4 is stinky. I don't like the game that the lines are implying. It doesn't fit either the game scripts that seem the way that I've handicapped this one. So I don't have a play there. But so what I've in my notebook, prove it Saturday for the Memphis Tigers, because I've got Memphis fans that are just beating down my door because Memphis isn't inside the top 50 of the CBS Sports 136. And I'm like, I'm sorry. Brendan Lewis came over from Nevada. You've got a lot of questions that you need to answer before I'm ready to make you a top 50 team. So if they go in and win by 2 touchdowns, something that I do think can happen, sure, we will readjust on Memphis. But for right now, I don't know, man. They got to go out and prove it, but this is a good spot for that.
And did you address Houston -3.5 at all?
I said I do like Houston.
Okay, my bad. Okay.
I'm on the Colorado money line.
Martin Luther Staub is Deion Sanders' name for Ryan Staub, the 3rd-string quarterback, because I want my quarterbacks to not be judged by the color of their skin, but of the content of their quotes. You go viral, you throw the spirals. So that was Ryan Staub now gets to take over as the new quarterback. He's not a blue chip at all, but he is going to be the new starter.
Mackenzie, you like the Buffalo's money line?
I'm in on Ryan Staub. I'm in on the journey. And I also feel like Colorado's had such a hard time stopping mobile quarterbacks. Connor Wegman's not exactly, using his legs all day long here. So I think they're alive in this. That's like one of my favorite just long shot underdogs. Not right.
Now, I want Ben to come on in a second, because I want him to tell us who we're riding with, who the week 2 ride is. And I do think it's going to be a college football bet. But Buckets, I'd be remiss if I didn't let you know that there were a lot of people that wanted to know about your University of Tennessee experience. Do you care to expand on that at all?
I probably not. I did track and field in high school and college. I was a javelin thrower, so I went to school because I could throw a stick farther than most other people could throw a stick. I was a terrible student. I dropped out halfway through my senior year.
You were so close.
You made it pretty far.
I made it farther than most people thought I would make it, to be fair. So, but yeah, no, not a whole lot to talk about that, Sia.
Okay. All
Wait,
right.
hold on. So I was gonna call nonsense on that. So
Yeah.
you were at Tennessee because
I was there. Sorry, I don't want to cut you off.
Well, I just know for a fact that they do the Pledge of Allegiance and Rocky Top in Knoxville County schools or in Knox County schools. So I was just surprised that you don't have more college football that you just absorbed by osmosis.
Do you want me to sing Rocky Top? Will that prove the?
No.
Yes.
No. I will say I was there during the Butch Jones era, and I was there when Lane Kiffin left, and when he came back to play us that next year, the chancellor of Tennessee sent out this email saying we have to be nice to Lane Kiffin. And then we got an email after the game saying you could hear you guys chanting F you on national TV. We have to be better kind of deal.
Right,
So
that I believe him. That's you don't parachute in. Yeah, you don't make that story up. That's good.
I wouldn't know who Lane Kiffin was if I didn't go to that school. That's just not my realm.
Go ahead, Brasco.
I just wanted to address one UFC question in the chat. Cole M is asking me about the unit distribution on the ladder. If I'm going to go Jared Gordon's significant strikes ladder. So I'm going to look to play it on DK, and I like to go in the increments of 10. If you play 1 unit on the over 64.5, then go half a unit on 75 plus significant strikes, quarter unit 85 plus, and then I would do 2 units total, maybe a eighth unit on some bigger plus money, sprinkle, 100 plus, and that's your top. But 2 units total on the ladder, 1, half, quarter, eighth, and spread it out. Hopefully we can climb.
Yeah, great question, great answer. Mackenzie, were there any questions in the chat regarding college football or baseball or anything else?
Not too many. I know people were asking for some NFL props, and I was saying that Inside the Lines blog is a lot easier URL now. It's just cbssports.com/ITL, which is just the brain dump of Steven and Jake and myself and Taff. So anything we have is put out on there. So it's just a good thing to bookmark. Some people asking about if the live stream here. We did have a fun live stream tonight. Obviously, the live streams look a little bit different this year with Mikey and Adam and myself. We are cashing tickets, a lot of touchdown bets, a lot of first touchdown bets that were really, really close, but definitely a fun watch to join in for those primetime games as well.
Speaking of props, so the prop show is at 1:00 today, and it's going to be, I think Claudia is going to be hosting that one, but it's going to be me and Dave Richard and Prop Stars. That's going to be put on the SportsLine YouTube channel later. I've already got a few props I've put on, or at least 2 props I've put on SportsLine. I'll bring at least 1 more for the prop show. But if you're interested in props, today, like as far as the show is concerned, a lot of these have been put on SportsLine, but you'll be able to get that at 1:00 on CBS Sports Network and later on this SportsLine YouTube channel. Let's talk about the group ride, and I think we might have a producer pick from Ben. So Ben, if you don't mind coming on, let us know actually what the producer pick is. Maybe I'm wrong that you have one, but I think you have one. And then let me know what our group ride is.
Yeah, so I can do producer pick first and then group ride, if that works.
Whatever you want to do. Sure.
Cool. I guess we could do producer pick. So I got 2 of them this week.
Whoa.
Exactly. That's exactly what I was about to say, Chip. So let's do Arkansas State plus 21.5. This is a hold your nose, kind of a gross bet, but I'm a spot guy. I love a good spot. I love a sandwich spot. I love a spot where it's a letdown, and I think this is both of these combined for Iowa State. They have now played 4 games straight. This will be their 4th straight game. They went overseas to Dublin. They came back, played a couple games, played the Cy-Hawk game, won 16-13. It was a tight game, a messy game. Now they have to go on the road to Arkansas State, and they're laying 21.5 points. Well, guess what happens next week for Iowa State? They finally get their bye week. They get a break. This is something they're looking forward to after 4 straight games, going overseas and the like. I don't know if they're going to win by 21.5 points on this one. 22 points is a lot to ask for a team that's ready for their break, coming off a huge game in the Cy-Hawk game, a huge rivalry game where they only won by 3 points. Now they have to go on the road and play Arkansas State. I'm going to take the points plus 21.5. You're going to hold your nose when you make this play, but I think it's the right side considering everything that Iowa State has gone through. And, oh, by the way, their win week 0 against Kansas State, doesn't look as good now that Kansas State has not looked the part of a Big 12 team. So I like Arkansas State plus 21.5. And for the Bears, Sia, I didn't want to showdown you because you got Lions at minus 4.5 and minus 5.5 on the site. So I wanted to wait until the Bears were over 6. So I'm taking the 6.5 with the Bears. I don't think they commit 12 penalties for 127 yards in this game. I think Caleb looks just a little better. Ben Johnson knows this Lions team back and forth. He has another week to get Caleb Williams ready. I like the Bears getting 6.5.
Okay, here's my response to that. Caleb Williams is not going to be ready, but he's not a good quarterback. And eventually he'll be better than he is now, but he's not going to be ready in week 2. Certainly wasn't ready week 1. However, I love, first of all, great hat change. I love your Ben Johnson angle. Like, that's an excellent angle. Here's the problem. We saw the Packers absolutely destroy Washington. They should have won by like 30 points. Honestly, they could have won that game by 28, 30 points. And so that tells me that Detroit game in Green Bay wasn't quite as bad as it looked week 1. I know they have problems because their coordinators are gone and their offensive line, the interior, that O-line isn't really there. There's a lot of turnover, but it made me a lot more comfortable with my Lions 4.5 and 5.5 play. But 6.5 in a division game is a lot of points. But I'm just saying, if you're down on Detroit, don't be down on them until after this Bears game, because Green Bay is very clearly one of the top 2 teams in the NFC. It's probably the Packers and the Eagles, and I really don't think I'm overreacting over 2 weeks here. Mackenzie, do you agree? Is like, it does feel to me like the Packers have entered the Eagles chat, if you will, and then it's kind of everybody else in the NFC.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of talk about the Lions after week 1. And I was saying, I truly believe that it's just a testament to how good the Packers are and not so much how bad the Lions are. Like, I truly believe that Green Bay Packers team is actually that good.
Yeah, they certainly look the part. Brasco, your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, it's an interesting line move, especially at 6.5. I'll say on the Lions side, under Dan Campbell, they've been very good against the spread and straight up after a double-digit loss. They're cover machines after they lose big, so watch out for that. But this whole national overreaction league, national freakout league. If the Bears had Kyler Gordon or Jalen Johnson healthy for that game, the Vikings don't make that comeback. We're not sitting here having this conversation. So if their best DBs are back, maybe that they have a little something, despite the bad play from Caleb Williams, despite the uninspiring play call late from Ben Johnson, right? Maybe their defense can stand up. So I think the line could be a little wide now at this point, but it's tough to go against the Lions off a loss.
Mackenzie. I will say, when Caleb Williams comes out with that T-shirt on looking like a fool, we should have known what their destiny was going to be, because honestly, what was that? That was
frumpy swag. He's got the weird gray shirt. What is that?
Are you trying to hide that you're out of shape? You got the facial hair, you got the T-shirt on. James Harden has a beard for a reason, man. And it's not because he's thin. I'll tell you that.
Williams looks like the guy that you play like rec basketball at the YMCA against. He's got that like old man look.
We should have known they were cooked from that start.
If you're looking for a prop lean in that game, I kind of like wide receiver 3 there. I don't think Luther Burden's going to take over. I kind of like Olamide Zaccheaus over 24.5 receiving yards. I believe that's the line there. Listen, before we get to the producer pick, Buckets, I know you have to go. So before you go, can you let us know how are you celebrating Freya's birthday? How can we celebrate with you?
We are going to the lake later this afternoon with her best friends, Kramer and Ronald. And then Freya's a little bit of a picky dog. And so for dinner tonight, we're going to have some McDoubles. She loves McDonald's. So that's kind of how we celebrate. Last thing I want to say before I go is one extra lean here for everyone. In the second Bundesliga, Arminia Bielefeld play Magdeburg. Take Bielefeld team total there. Stopping Bielefeld from scoring, and this is a completely unique and original analogy here, is like trying to submit a kitchen appliance. It doesn't work. It's not a thing that happens. So expect the home team to score there. I got to head out, everyone. Have a wonderful Friday. Or whatever we do on the crew.
We don't do rule.
Not a thing. Cool. Nope. All right. See you guys.
Sure isn't. See you, Buckets. Happy birthday, Freya. Ben, talk to us about what the week 2 ride-along bet is.
Yeah.
Looks like Georgia is our winner. Georgia minus 3.5.
How about
no pressure. So we have technically on this show, this is a group ride, and this is Mackenzie is your pick. But Chip, just remind us, we have also the over 27.5 Georgia team total.
Georgia team total over 27.5. But I like this too. I mean, it is just it baits a lot of non-ball knowers. They're like, Let's look at Georgia's against the spread record in the last 6. They're throwing out all this. Let's look at what Tennessee did in its first 2 games. And it ignores history, and college football, especially the SEC. History matters. So I love it. Great opportunity.
This is exactly where Kirby Smart wants to be. He could not be in a better situation to have a Kirby Smart game.
All right. I think it's oh, here we go. Wow. Look at Ben. I don't know. You do this very quickly. Early edge group ride is Georgia -3.5 at -115. These group rides are 0-1 because we went in on the one game that went way over was the game that we had the under on. It was the Jets and the Steelers.
Oh my God.
Yeah. I mean,
I had that under too. I got that up on the site. I was like, this is sure to be a rock fight. And I'm like, yep, goodbye.
That was really, I'm so curious to see how these teams do. Obviously, we have the SportsLine pick. RJ White has the Seahawks +3 in Pittsburgh, but then you got the Jets and the Bills. I'm just very curious to see how those games turn out. All right, I think that about does it. Let's take a look. Oh, Brasco, go ahead.
I just wanted a quick shout outs to Ben on the graphics and also just the record keeping, like the show of picks from Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, all the graphics. Really nice work, Ben. And also I wanted to know in the chat, how many people when Chip went into his pick did when he went crisscross right after that went cha-cha real smooth. Tearing it up.
Sometimes I like just being in here like as a spectator to you all. It's fun to sit back and watch. Good stuff, Brasco. Good stuff, Chip. Good stuff, Mackenzie. Let's take a look at the recap screen. A lot to recap because I know, Ben, you've got the screen on our previous bets this week. Round 2 3-ball today. So hit the Gala -120 over Austin Eckroat. And from Tuesday, I gave out on this show Lions -4.5, -110. A big my bad on that because on that Tuesday show, I didn't have time to put that bet in on the SportsLine site before the show, which I do 99% of the time. When I went to give it out about 20 minutes after I gave it out on this show, which is where a lot of you got it, mind you, at 4.5, it escalated to 5.5. So hopefully we don't get caught by that point, but that's on SportsLine at -5.5 too, just so everybody knows. Chip Patterson, Georgia team total over 27.5 and Miami first half -9.5. Then we go to Danny Brasco. Jared Gordon over 64.5 significant strikes at -115. And Alessandro Costa money line versus Jared Gordon money line -128. Mackenzie Brooks, Washington State, North Texas over 57.5 -105. And she is with the group ride, Georgia -3.5 at -115. Buckets. I'm going to mess up one of these real bad. Bayer Leverkusen versus Eintracht Frankfurt. Frankfurt double chance -130. Sevilla versus Elche. Both teams to score +110. And here we go. Lech Poznan versus Zaglabi Lubin. Both teams to score plus over 2.5 goals at even money. Thanks for nothing. Buckets. And then we've got more bets to talk about, right? Yeah. Okay. So from Tuesday, Tom Casale, he got on Miami at -17. I believe he said it was one of his favorite plays. Again, that one -110. He got it early at 17. From Wednesday, Danny Brasco, Saints team total under 19.5. Very interesting game there. We talked about that a lot on Fantasy Football Today, DFS. Make sure you listen to that show with me, Mike, and Meg, because we talked about the fantasy implications of Mac Jones starting that game. He's a flat 4K in DFS, and Mike really broke down how he's going to want to use him, and it's really interesting stuff. So again, watch Fantasy Football Today, DFS on the Fantasy Football Today YouTube channel, or listen to the podcast, Apple, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. From Thursday, Larry Hartstein, Trevor Lawrence over 21.5 completions, -125, and the Texans money line at -135. Those are two different bets, not a parlay, obviously. Mike McClure, Kansas State money line -115.
What?
Yeah,
McClure likes Kansas State? That's crazy.
I know. Well, in his defense, he is a big Kansas State advocate. He said he wasn't on them last week, and he said the stock could not be lower on Kansas State. This is the time to take him, which that's a fair statement, right, Chip and Mackenzie?
Fair.
That the stock couldn't be lower?
Yeah, it's a good buy low spot. Ken's likes a good buy low spot.
I do love a good buy low spot. But my God, Kansas State. I finally have
It's a tough
retired.
watch.
I
watched some of that game last week, and I was like, "Wow, this is not great."
Yeah,
Ben,
they're
go
my
ahead.
never again team. Never again. That's it for this year. I'm done.
Okay, so you
week
keep
was it.
rolling. Yeah, sorry, didn't mean to stop you. Keep
Oh
rolling.
no,
keep
that's
rolling.
okay. Prop Stars has and don't forget he's on the prop show today at 1:00. Brian Thomas Jr. over 66.5 receiving yards at -115, and Ashton Genty under 70.5 rushing yards at -115. That line has already moved. He's gotten the better of it there. From today, we've got our SportsLine picks: the Cowboys -5.5, the Jags +3.5, and the Seattle Seahawks +3, -110, -110, and -120 on those three. And our top MLB home run plays, courtesy of Jake Fettner, Inside the Lines, and the SportsLine model. Kerry Carpenter, Gino Suarez, and Cody Bellinger. Oh, Ben's producer picks. He's kind of going against me. Well, hopefully we can middle this. Bears plus 6.5 at -105. And Arkansas State hold the S -105 at plus 21.5. And then here's our group ride. Georgia -3.5 at -115. Let's bounce back and get to 1-1 on those group rides. What a show. Chip, Mackenzie, we had Brasco, of course, we had Buckets, and of course, Ben, a big shout out to you. You're just handling so much on the back end, even on the front end in front of the camera. Big shout out to you, Steve Folkerts, Joe Neuenfeld, Brad Morris, KC3, all of you. Thanks for being in here every single day at 10 o'clock. We really appreciate you. All right, I guess that'll do it. We just went 45 minutes. It felt like it was 20 minutes. Thank you, Mackenzie. Thank you, Chip. Ladies and gentlemen, it's Friday. We rest our case.